Let's jump into it.
Mr. Seligman, you stated you are an expert in constitutional law, correct?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. In your testimony, your written testimony, quote, this is your writing, no government official ever threatened any social media platform with adverse action if a platform declined to moderate content flagged by the official or if a platform decided not to take an official's suggestions. Do you stand by your testimony?
Yes.
Does a representative in Congress constitute a government official? That would then lead us to believe that you're talking about the executive branch, correct? So government officials like the Deputy Assistant to the President and Director of Digital Strategy like Robert Flattery, or the White House Senior Advisor like Andrew Slavitt, or the NSC staffer Katie Colas, or the Deputy Assistant to the President, or the White House Digital Director, or the Press Secretary for the First Lady, or the NSC Director for Counterterrorism, the Chief of Staff for the Office of Digital Strategy, the Director of Strategic Communication and Engagement, the White House Associate Counsel, Associate Director for Communications, the Deputy Director of Digital Strategy. And the
wow, that is a long list.
Communications. Those are government officials, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and what's so interesting is that all of these members of the executive branch, all of them have communications, thousands of emails between them and Twitter and Meta officials where they demand that posts be taken down and censored. I'll give you a couple of examples, and then we'll see if you still feel so strongly about your words. January 23rd, 3 days after the inauguration, at 1:04 a.m., Clark Humphrey of the White House emails Twitter and says, "We're flagging this post for you. Hey folks, wanted to flag this tweet, wondering if we can get moving on the process to have it taken down, ... ASAP. Then, on February 7th, an email exchange took place between Twitter and White House.
Whenever you make a request and then have a forced deadline, that's not a request. That is a command. Right off the bat. It's definitely not like a, hey, we don't really like this, what do you think? No, it's 1 a.m. If you see this, get rid of it now, before the morning.
House Deputy Assistant to the President and Director of Digital Strategy, Rob Flattery, and asked for the steps that he could take to, quote, streamline the process for the White House's demands for Twitter censorship. Then 2 days later...
Literally the email says, how do we streamline the process for our demands to streamline censorship? The emails aren't even courteous enough to use double speech. If this was the mob, they would be more careful, but they just know that they're above the law and they feel like they can do whatever they want.
On February 9th, 2021, he follows up again with Facebook with a more aggressive demand for more information, along with an accusation that would be repeated many times in the future, that Facebook was failing to censor speech on its platform, and it was causing, quote, political violence. Fast forward, you have March 15th, White House Senior Advisor then made an ominous statement threatening unspecified executive action against Facebook in retaliation for Facebook's perceived lack of cooperation with the White House's list of demands that have been documented and will be inserted into the record for this hearing.
A list of demands. Recourse if demands are not followed. By any definition, this is a threat. And to say otherwise means you're either willing to lie to yourself or you don't understand basic concepts.
On censorship of, quote, borderline content, the line that I think is particularly troubling is saying, internally, we have been considering our options on what to do about it. Do you consider that to be non-threatening?
I don't think that emphatic expressions of their concerns about the problem of misinformation is a threat. I don't.
So when President Biden says that social media companies are killing people, and then there is a direct line from the White House to the social media companies demanding posts be removed, going so far as to say there has to be a quick and devastating takedown, a published takedown, that is not a threat?
I don't believe so.
Wow. I'm so glad we have this on the record.
It is clear that one side of this party has been heavily executing subterfuge and propaganda. Now they're going to have to play a lot of defense, and it's just really clear that there's a lot of entitled people in our federal government, and they do what they feel is right based on their belief system and not based on our individual rights and our private property. I hope you learned something. This is Tristan with Radically Rational Radio. Like, comment, and subscribe. Stay resilient.